Hello guys, and welcome to a new episode of the Football Show. As today we're going to talk about yesterday's Premier League and AFCON games, and also games from other European leagues. So let's get started. Let's start with yesterday's first of all Premier League games. And if I have enough time, if it depends how much I take my time talking about yesterday's games, I could also talk about today's games. But let's start with yesterday's games. Premier League: Aston Villa against Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa beat Nottingham Forest 3-1. Goal from Ollie Watkins, 2 goals from John McGinn. The third goal, I don't know what the goalkeeper of Nottingham Forest, Victor, was doing. He was crying after that. But Aston Villa, I mean, they looked clearly. Yes, I know Nottingham Forest had some chances, and they should have took, and especially if in the Premier League, if you don't take your chances, you'll get punished. Aston Villa, I don't think in the first half they were that great. They were winning. They won 1-0, and they got that goal before half time from Ollie Watkins. But I don't think they were that great in the first half. Whereas the second half, I think we saw the best of Aston Villa. And again, this is another tactic they use sometimes. Where in the first half maybe they conserve their energy, and then the second half they show their true, qualities. And they beat Nottingham Forest quite comfortably in the second half. John McGinn, I mean, the guy's had a great season so far for Aston Villa, 2 goals. The players they missed in the game against Arsenal, like Matty Cash, Kamara, these two were fantastic once again. So it was a very good performance for Aston Villa second half. And they will get back to winning ways. I think this could be another. I wouldn't be surprised if Aston Villa go in another fantastic run of form because, first of all, they don't have to play against Arsenal every single week, even though they beat them at home. Playing against Arsenal is such a difficult team to play against because they're such a good team, and I think they're gonna only play against Man City away from home in the final game of the season. And you look at their upcoming fixtures in the Premier League. They've got, games where you would fancy them. They've got Crystal Palace away, they've got Everton at home, Newcastle away, Brentford at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton at home, Leeds at home, Wolves away, Chelsea at home, who are having problems, Man United away, West Ham at home. I mean, they've got really, their last 3, I think 4 games in the Premier League are Tottenham, Burnley, Liverpool and Man City. Whereas you look at the fixtures from the next game from Crystal Palace until 25th of April, they could go in a fantastic run of form. They could go in a great unbeaten run. So I think this is a very good opportunity for Aston Villa, to actually secure top 4 Champions League football in a more secured way, in a more comfortable way. Because their last 4 games will be very difficult. One of them is going to fight for the title, could be, and one of them could be fighting for Champions League football also, like Liverpool. So I think if Aston Villa can get themselves a great position to where they've already secured Champions League football and they could play, they could have FA Cup or Europa League to play for. I think that would be great for Unai Emery, for Aston Villa to cope with. So yeah, but great win for Aston Villa, and especially. It's a great way to bounce back after especially losing to Arsenal. You look at the next game, Brighton beat Burnley 2-0. Wolves beat West Ham 3-0. Their first win of the season. I mean, the first half watching Wolves, it was like watching Barcelona. Because I was like, really? This is the Wolves that we've watched this season? I mean, they were fantastic in the first half and they absolutely destroyed West Ham. West Ham had so many possession, but they created absolutely nothing. But yeah, great win. I mean, that point against United gave them confidence for the next game against West Ham, clearly, and they got the win. So, congratulations to Wolves. They've won their first game of the season. Took a long time, but it is what it is. And finally, it came. Funnily enough, it came. Wolves' first win came against Wolves' former manager, who they loved, was against Nuno Espirito Santo, and they were singing, Nuno Espirito Santo, one of their own, which is a great troll from Wolves fans. But Yeah, like West Ham, by the way, they are absolutely shocking. I thought like they would be a bit better. Listen, I still, Wolves, West Ham is such a poor side, and they've had some recruitment problems for years. Even though in the days of David Moyes when they were doing really well, um, like they're still rubbish. Sorry, they're still rubbish, and even Nuno Espirito Santo can do so much as he can, and there's even rumors that he could be replaced, which I don't find it correct in my opinion. They've got big game coming against Nottingham Forest, who are 17th, and they're 4 points difference between these two. So that's going to be a big game for both teams. More importantly for West Ham, because they are behind. So yeah, it's going to be a big game. Um, but yeah, West Ham are absolutely terrible, absolutely terrible. Bournemouth against Arsenal. Arsenal win 3-2. A very important win, a huge win for Arsenal. You know, against Aston Villa, people thought, oh, they would slip up. They might, drop points. Aston Villa very good form. They beat them quite comfortably in the second half. And this game, Bournemouth away, could be tricky. South Coast, Bournemouth are a good side. They're 1-0 down. Gabriel Magalhaes makes a mistake, and you think like, oh, Arsenal, they're feeling the pressure. I can see some City fans were feeling that when they were watching the game, but the way Arsenal responded, with all the, despite being 1-0 down, Gabriel Magalhaes making a bad mistake. I mean, you would. I know Gabriel is a quality centre back. He's a fantastic centre back, and he's been absolutely immense for Arsenal. But what was he thinking for that one? I have no idea. And Arsenal, Bournemouth away. Even Bournemouth away. But by the way, Bournemouth have, they start the season quite well. But then after that, I think they're in 11 games winless streak, which is not great for Bournemouth. I don't know why they struggled that much. Really, why they've fallen off that much last couple of months. But they've got quality players like Evan Anderson and Semenyo, who's going to go to Manchester City. And you think like, okay, Arsenal might drop points here, but they responded really well. Despite Gabriel making a mistake, 6 minutes later he responded, and this is how you bounce back in a strong way. You make a mistake and then you forget it, and then 6 minutes later you rectify it, and he did that fantastically well. Gabriel Magalhaes, 1-1, and Bournemouth were creating some chances in the first half. They were causing Arsenal problems, but I think in the second half Arsenal got better, and they were better than Bournemouth, and they got better, and they scored 2 goals. The second goal, Declan Rice, came from a long ball, and Victor Gyökeres was involved playing those balls towards Odegaard, and then passed to Declan Rice, and with a quality finish. And then the third goal, brilliant team goal, brilliant finish from Declan Rice. I mean, Declan Rice scored 2 goals. That guy, in my opinion, he's been the best player in the Premier League this season. People look at me and say, oh, of course you say that because he's English. No. Listen, I've been a big fan of Declan Rice for a long time. I've been a big fan since, I think, when he played against... I remember the first game I watched him when he played for West Ham, and it was against Arsenal. I think it was in 2019. And he scored that fantastic goal, the winning goal for West Ham against Arsenal. I think they beat them 1-0, I think. And I was like, no, that guy could be special. That guy could be an amazing player in the future, for England, and for which team he is going to go on and play for many years now. And he made that move to Arsenal. He won West Ham the first trophy since many years. He was, involved in their success in playing European football a couple of years, and also winning the European trophy. And he did really well for England as well, even though he didn't win a trophy. They reached 2 finals in the Euros, and he was a fantastic player for West Ham, and now he's an important player for Arsenal. I mean, I feel like whenever Declan Rice has a bad game, it's like a 7 out of 10. Like, that guy, he's an amazing player. He can defend, he can track back, he can attack, he can defend, he can do everything. The guy can do absolutely anything. He can play right back as he did against Brighton. The guy is so crucial. He's amazing. And yes, Arsenal, coped. People say, oh, but Arsenal without Gabriel, they were losing games, whereas without Declan Rice against Aston Villa, they won 4-1. Yeah, but if you look at that first half against Aston Villa, Aston Villa's midfield were getting the better of Arsenal's midfield. And Declan Rice, going forward, defending, attacking, leadership, quality, everything. The guy is so good in everything. And whenever, whenever he has a bad performance or not a good performance, it's like a 7 out of 10. Whenever Arsenal don't have a good performance, Declan Rice doesn't play badly. Whereas Gabriel Magalhaes, he's been absolutely amazing for Arsenal, but sometimes he can make some mistakes, like we saw in this game against Bournemouth. Whereas Declan Rice, you don't see him having many bad games, in my opinion. That's why I think he's been the best player for Arsenal this season. But you could have a solid argument that Arsenal, without Gabriel Magalhaes, they were losing games, whereas without Declan Rice, they beat Aston Villa 4-1. So you could have an argument on that. But in general, in my opinion, in terms of contribution and how well they play, in my opinion, in terms of level of performances, in my opinion, Declan Rice is the best player in the Premier League this season. But it's even that. It's quite even between Declan Rice and Gabriel Magalhaes, because these two have been absolutely crucial and instrumental to Arsenal's success this season. And Declan Rice was kissing the camera, doing some Stevie Gerrard stuff, but two brilliant finishes as well. He can score. He can even, as we saw what he did against Real Madrid last season, scoring 2 amazing free kicks. He can score goals. He can defend. The guy's a warrior. He's a player that every manager would love to have. He's a manager's dream. That can defend, he can attack, he can play any position. He's a true hard worker, and yeah, amazing performance from him. Krupi scored the second goal to put one back in for Bournemouth, give them some hope. Great finish from him, by the way. And then Arsenal, despite every moments, maybe Bournemouth can come back and score the equaliser. Arsenal managed to hold on and win the game. So well done to Arsenal. Despite some moments that Bournemouth could come back, Bournemouth could get a draw or a win against Arsenal. Arsenal found a way to cope with it and win the game. So you have to give credit to Arsenal and Arteta for that, because going away to Bournemouth is not an easy place to go, because Bournemouth have a very, very good team, even though they've not in a very good run of form last couple of months. However, there was a moment towards the end where I found it strange, because yes, I know the added time passed and it was 96 minutes. It was 6 minutes at a time, and it was 96 minutes and 14 seconds, I think. And Bournemouth won the attack, were having a chance, and the referee blew the whistle. I know that the time passed away, but to blow the whistle when Bournemouth on the attack, I feel like it's a bit strange. The referee also did the similar thing when Arsenal were on the attack with Odegaard, I think, at the end of the first half. And that was strange as well. The referee probably wanted to go home, probably. But anyway, but Arsenal, listen, doesn't take away from Arsenal's quality. Odegaard had another good performance as well. I thought he played very well in this game. 3 good games in a row right now. He's in a good form right now. Saka was very good in this game as well. Gabriel Magalhaes, brilliant to bounce back, despite he made a mistake at the start. So very important win for Arsenal, and they go now 6 points clear of Aston Villa, 7 points clear of Manchester City, but they still have to play today. So yeah, who's the favourite to win the Premier League? I still think I think if the way things are going right now, Arsenal should, with the qualities they have, the squad they have, Arsenal should win the Premier League. And with the past experiences they had, it should help them towards the future. And I think Arsenal should win the Premier League. However, if in the last 7-8 games, if Man City could get in 3 points within Arsenal, and let's not forget Arsenal still have to play City at home against Arsenal at the Etihad 18th of April. I think if City can get in within 3 points, 4 points behind Arsenal last 8-9 games, I think City, you have to back with the team that's been there, done it before. And listen, that's not respect to Arsenal, because Arsenal have been absolutely amazing season, and they've been very consistent, very good in the last years, even though they haven't won a Premier League title. But the feeling in the players would be we haven't won it in 20 years. It will be in the head of some of the players. So I think, and also let's not forget they're in the Carabao Cup semi-final. If Arsenal could win the Carabao Cup in like late February, early March, if they could win the Carabao Cup, I think it could help them to win the Premier League. Obviously, the Premier League is the big one they want, but I think if they win the Carabao Cup, it will help them. It could help them towards the end of the season, in my opinion. So, yeah. Now let's move on to AFCON.